Salvete amici, Rochester McKee here with an advanced tip for Imperator Rome. We finance professors have hobbies, and one of mine is playing Imperator Rome. I'm creating a collection of advanced tips I've learned while playing this game in case you want to have a study break. This tip involves how to most effectively use your ruler. Every character has schemes that they're allowed to use. Non-ruler characters just randomly pick what their scheme is going to be, or no scheme in this case. The ruler, however, you can choose. So I can switch between schemes, assuming I'm eligible to do them as I wish without any real penalties. So let's walk through our options here. So right now, Publius has 3. He has Siphoning Funds, he has Scheme Influence, he has Scheme Sponsored Games. There's also Scheme Popularity, which he can't pick because his personal wealth is too low, and Scheme Assassinate, which he can't pick because he doesn't have any rivals. There is another scheme, which is called, which is for increasing legitimacy. That's something that matters for monarchies, not for republics. So if he was the ruler of a monarchy, that one scheme improving legitimacy would be available, but of course it's not if you're in a monarchy. Okay, so let's start with the very worst one. Siphoning Funds. So he gains 10 gold per month. Doesn't really matter. It's his personal wealth, which doesn't really benefit the country very much. The big problem is he gains 0.05 corruption. Corruption increases his wages, which is taking money, siphoning money from our country's income and putting it in his hands because his wages are higher because he's more corrupt and he's stealing money from our income effectively. Also, if we have high corruption, there is a penalty on influence production. So if our ruler has corruption, the higher it is, we have a negative modifier on our political influence per month. If you have a co-ruler and that co-ruler has corruption, once again, negative modifier. So we don't want corruption. There's no benefit here, and it hurts us with the corruption of our ruler. Sponsor games and popularity are both improving popularity. So after the end of this scheme, he gains 5 popularity. This one, he improves his popularity per month. And population happiness in one territory, that doesn't matter. Popularity is not completely useless. If it's too low, you have a penalty to integrated culture happiness, but popularity is really easy to get. Just take a look. There's a bunch of sources, right? Just if you're a ruler, 0.2. His charisma gives you a bunch of monthly popularity. There's deities like Jupiter. There's inventions that give you popularity. There's all sorts of sources. And pretty often, if you go to war, because you win battles, that gives you popularity. If you win sieges, that gives you popularity. Your ruler will typically hit 100 popularity at the end of the war, and it'll slowly decay down. Oh, and if you have loyal veterans or loyal cohorts, that gives you popularity too. So it's easy to get popularity above 50. It's already above 50 for this guy, and it's going to stay above 50 as long as you keep fighting wars. And you will, because you fight lots of wars in this game. This might be useful if your popularity is extremely low, such that you can't take scheme influence, but otherwise, I'm not going to bother. Improving legitimacy, same sort of thing. Legitimacy only really hurts you if it's below 0. If it's below 0, there is a penalty to character loyalty. So, loyalty to the character will see increasing penalties as your legitimacy drops below 0. If it's above 0, all it gets you is a little bit of freeman happiness, which is easy to get. Freemen are really easy to keep happy. And support for your primary heir. Again, it's not that much. There's not much support for the primary heir caused by legitimacy, and it doesn't really matter that much usually anyways. You might want to increase legitimacy as a monarchy if you're below 0 because of the character loyalty penalty, but again, otherwise it's not really that important. scheme assassinate is really bad because of how expensive it is. Your rival is probably someone who has political power and is disloyal, but it costs 7 aggressive expansion to deal with the problem. Far easier just to spend some political influence, much less than a single claim, I think it's 10, to remove a rival, and then your rival is no longer eating that big negative loyalty penalty, and everything's going to be fine. A lot cheaper than 7 aggressive expansion points. And then we have Scheme Influence. Scheme Influence increases our monthly political influence by 20%. Political influence is really valuable. We want it, we want lots of it, we can never really get enough of it, so a plus 20% bonus is great. We'll lose some popularity, it doesn't matter. Popularity is easy to get to counteract. Even better, while having Scheme Influence active, we have these events. Of the people, loyal subject, scholar of the divine. All of these events give us options to either increase political influence or increase stability, both of which are really important for our country. So it's not just the plus 20% bonus that he gets every month, it's these chances for these additional events, which are also really good for us. So, in short, always pick political influence if you can. If you can't, try to get to the point where you can as quickly as possible. So a couple of notes here in terms of how to make sure you don't miss out on having a scheme. If you are a monarch, if you are a republic, you have elections. In Rome's case, it's every 5 years. So 5 years from now, our current ruler will leave office. We have a new person. This new person will not have scheme influence as his scheme. It'll be something else. Which means every election, as a republic, you have to go in, change your new ruler's scheme to be scheme influence. Now, monarchies have it a little bit easier. They don't switch as often, hopefully. But let's say you have someone who's pretty young, like Spartacus here. He's 26. So he's probably going to live several decades as ruler. Well, scheme influence doesn't last forever, unfortunately. It expires after 20 years. So if you're monarch or tribal chief, because tribes also are rulers for life, lasts more than 20 years, you're going to have to go in and renew it. And in both cases, with elections for republics, and if scheme influence expires for a monarchy or tribe, there's no tooltip, there's no pop-up, there's no warning that you now have a ruler that's not doing anything useful with the scheme. You'll just have to remember to go in and fix it. It would have been nice as a quality of life feature if Paradox or some modders were to give us a tooltip, a warning that we don't have our ruler doing anything, something like that, but it doesn't exist. So you'll have to just remember, always switch to scheme influence after an election, and after 20 years with the monarchy or tribe, restart the scheme influence, because it will have expired and they no longer have that scheme active. Alright, so that is all I have for today. If you found this video helpful for your study break, please comment, like, and/or subscribe so that other students can find it too. Happy not studying.